this bit, recording started, you'll never get a more unnatural part of your life. And then plus it's worse for you because you've got the glare of my screen on my glasses. Went through this yesterday on the watch along. There's nothing I can do about that. Like, can't see without them. So you just have to deal with the glare.
How many people were watching it on Saturday? Because my mate, like, obviously my mate come to mine, so we were just watching it together. Like, I saw you tweet like a link for the stream.
Oh, the watch along. So the MMA ones were always dead, but we did a football one last night, me and John, for the Everton game, and that was popping off. You know, it did all right. It's got like 500 views on it, but it was good at the time because for them ones, you'll always have like, I don't know, like 20, 30 people at one time, so you've got a lively chat and everything. Yeah. But mate, if you're watching you Burma, I think people forget UFC is definitely like quite a niche sport in the UK. It's definitely not. It's big, it's bigger than it used to be, but it's not massive.
Yeah, I think like when I say to most people like, "Oh, you watching the fight?" They have no idea.
No idea. They'll ask you who's boxing.
Yeah, like because I was saying this to someone as well. Like, you know, like, okay, say like the most famous boxers, I'll say in the UK, I like say Tyson Fury, AJ, and then maybe like
Dillian White, someone like that.
Yeah, but like no one like people like the regular people know who they are, but like no one would know who, like, for example, I have people ask me like, "Oh, well, who's this Paddy the Baddy guy?" But like they'll never be like, "Oh, Leon Edwards or Darren Till or Michael Bisping." They would have no idea who they are, kind of thing. So,
if you think right,
sorry,
boxers who are the top of their game in the UK. So even if they're just world champions, so people like Lee Wood, for example, someone like that, he's definitely more recognised than the like. So say a world champion, I don't know, you got Leon Edwards and Aspinall. Think of like one smaller tier below them two. So them two are really Arnold Allen. So use Arnold Allen. So them two are the pinnacle of the sport. Yeah, they're the equivalent of they're like Tyson and AJ. Do you know what I mean? In terms of accomplishment, they're like at the top of the sport, and they're not even remotely as known as Fury or AJ. Like if them two, see, the UFC sells out arenas, I think, just on the name alone, like the UFC alone. I feel like they never even have to have a fight. They never even have to have a fight done to for the venue. Sometimes they sell out venues and there's not even been a card announced. Do you know what I mean?
True. So I remember going. Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
I remember like right before lockdown. So this is like early 2020. Obviously, the UFC always comes to March. It comes to London every March. So I was like, oh, it was meant to be Leon Edwards against Tyron Woodley.
I remember that.
And I was going to buy a ticket because it was like February and they were still only like 40 quid. They weren't sold out. So
yeah, no, they never
did. And then lockdown came. Yeah. But it's gotten so much more popular now. Like when I looked at the first London card back, you know, like when it was Paddy and Molly and like everyone, and then it was just
Aspinall headline against someone.
Was it Aspinall? No, that was the other London card. I mean, actually, no, it might have been that one. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was Aspinall versus Volkov or something.
Yes, it was Volkov. Yeah, because I remember. Yeah, that was it. Aspinall Volkov.
But that sold out quick, didn't it? And the prices were ridiculous. But back in the day, it would always sell out. By the time remember Till versus Masvidal and that.
Yeah.
By the time the event rolled around, the event would be sold out. But tickets weren't anything crazy. They weren't like 100 quid for the cheapest tickets. You could get a 50 quid ticket. It would sell out a couple of weeks before. They were big stars. Obviously, like Till was a massive star. If you can sell out the O2 on your own as a headliner, like Till could, that makes you a massive star in the UK. Don't get me wrong. Like there's boxers who would love to be able to sell out the O2, but it wasn't like it is now where it's on fire. That's why I just think, why does Dana White, why does UFC not just have some balls and do Aspinall versus Aspinall? I don't know why is he so scared of doing a stadium fight in the UK?
Oh, because I think Dana doesn't like stadiums because I think one, he's worried about atmosphere. But do you know what's funny? I was rewatching with my mate because he hadn't seen it before, so we watched Ronda Rousey against Holly Holm, and they did. Yeah, they did it in a stadium in Australia. It looked great, kind of thing.
Unbelievable. He always says about the UK, doesn't he, that you can't guarantee the weather, but we don't give a fuck about the weather. We're not asked.
Yeah, but you don't have to, because like when AJ fought Usyk at Tottenham's ground, and that was in October. Like you don't need the weather, doesn't matter because you can cover it. Even Wembley, you don't need to have.
Was there a thing for Tottenham's ground's not got a roof, has it?
But they done AJ Usyk there in October, so I'm assuming they must have had some sort of.
Was that not just her not asked? Like I feel like no. I feel like boxing.
Fury fought there as well. Fury fought there as well. He fought
Chisora.
Yeah, Chisora. Yeah, and like Fury fought Dillian White at Wembley. So,
but yeah, but I feel like boxing. I went watching fucking I went watching Chisora versus David A at Upton Park, and it was, I can't even tell you what month it was, but it pissed. When was that fight? Let's have a look. When I think, I've not even got the UFC card up. That's like little research or anything we've done for this, but we couldn't have cancelled it because we didn't do that. We were supposed to do this before the card, and I let you down twice. Hang on, what was I googling then? What was the whole point of this conversation?
Upton Park, David Hay.
Yeah, David A, and it was the worst weather ever. And I do remember when I look back at it, I had long pants on, so it must have been cold. But I feel like boxing fans we just take what we're given whenever we're not like that big mourners. Well, not to be fair, why was it so fucking cold then? Why was it so the worst? It's pissing it down.
What year was that? 08, 09?
No, 2012, you know.
Oh, I don't know then. So that would have been like Olympics time as well. So for the Olympics, probably would have been on the same time.
To go to. That was like my first boxing fight that wasn't like in Manchester or something.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny you say that. I think Dana was saying they want to do UFC, not just in London.
Yeah, Manchester. He wants to do UFC in Manchester, doesn't it? And then they're doing Ireland as well. So Bellator, I don't know if you knew this, Bellator had a thing on the free arena in Ireland. Because the UFC would go like once every like 6-7 years or 5 years, whatever. But Bellator would go regularly. They had a deal with the free arena. They was only allowed to be the only MMA promotion that could do a show at the free arena. But then they done
Bellator shows, especially in Ireland and France, was always so because they would always get they're doing like I think they should do. But the thing is, they could do like Katie Taylor. Obviously, Katie Taylor wanted to do Croke Park, so I don't see why they couldn't just do like a UFC Ireland.
I feel like I can't understand it because there's such a hot property. If they went and did UFC Australia and did it at Marvel Stadium, like where fucking Cambosos fought Haney, if they just tried a little bit and put like 2 massive fights in it, people will go to it. Like stadium, I think Dana sometimes worries that like it might not do as well as he hopes. But we don't need an excuse to go to it. Right, imagine it. Yeah, we love a good time, especially in the UK. We love a day out. We love a good time. We love events. Yeah, a UFC at Wembley would be a fucking sick day. Imagine how you could go down with lads. You could go down with your bird. You could have the best time ever. You could be out in London all day. Get the fucking tube to Wembley and watch fucking fights at Wembley. And bear in mind, these UFC cards are not like boxing cards. They're stacked. There's fights that you're in. Yeah, exactly. Because because UFC own all the fighters. It's not like boxing, where like you've sort of got to match your people perfectly.
The cards are always dead.
That is it. When you go watching boxing, you know yourself. You probably go into for the last 3 fights, and that's at best. Sometimes I've gone watching boxing, and I've gone in for the second to last fight halfway through. UFC, because they own both people, it doesn't matter who wins to them because they're the winner anyway. At least if there's not the biggest names on the card, they're matched evenly through early on.
100%, yeah. That's one of the things. Like me, even in like not just UFC. Like me and my mate, we went to watch Bellator at Wembley like a year and a half ago. And
who was that?
Sorry,
was MVP on that one?
Yeah, he fought Logan Storley. And
I
thought he won. But
I thought he won as well. Yeah, I thought he won. I thought he should have won that fight.
But yeah, like, and even obviously you don't know a lot of these guys who are at the bottom of the card. Even at the top, because obviously Bellator's not like the UFC, but like it's still evenly matched for the most part, so you can watch it. And that's what kind of I like boxing, but for me, I'm just a casual when it comes to boxing. So like I only watch the big fights kind of thing. I don't know about someone until they're big. So that's why I'm confused about this whole, like one of my mates, he loves boxing. So like this whole Haney sort of Shakur Stevenson, Davis kind of, I don't even know who's the best because I don't watch them enough to know kind of thing.
I don't. I'll admit, I'm a bit of a, I don't even know how you describe it. Maybe like a hardcore casual. So I used to be, before I found MMA, I was only into boxing. Yeah. Loved it. Watched everything. I would sit at home and watch area title fights on like that's probably a bad line. British title fights, definitely. English title fights. I've watched a few English title fights. I've watched British title fights. Like I'd watch any Sky card, it used to be Box Nation at the time. I'd watch all them cards because I loved it. I was into boxing massively. And I used to shit on MMA bad. Yeah. I used to slag it off so much. And then I feel like when you realise MMA is just far better, not as a sport, boxing is probably the better sport, but just because MMA is
as a sport. What do you mean by as like a sport in terms of?
I feel like Thingy was saying this, Demetrius Johnson said this, to be a world champion boxer, you need to be very, 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 very good at boxing. But to be a world champion at MMA, you don't need to actually be amazing at anything. And you can be seriously bad at other things. I'm not shitting on the sport. I think it's unbelievable. Like,
I know exactly what you mean.
The level of technique in being a good boxer is massively different to the level of technique in being a good
MMA. There's more variables because I guess you could say like Pereira, for example, he's the light heavyweight champion. But say for example, if he was in say the welterweight division where it's full of wrestlers, maybe he wouldn't be as good.
It wouldn't be.
But you don't know until you fight these people, kind of thing. Yeah.
No, we can't make assumptions, but like so Pereira, if he went and did a grappling match with someone as shit as Chris, like not obviously he's had a good career. Someone as shit as Chris Weidman, yeah. Chris Weidman has a grappling contest with Pereira, just grappling, submission up underground or something. Weidman would twist him up, yeah.
It wouldn't be 2 minutes, yeah.
You got to think because boxers only do boxing. If a box, and you got to think about injuries as well. This is what a lot of the a lot of the people who go over and that. So like Eddie Alvarez has said it recently. Darren Till said it because he's been training boxing for a year now. They're saying because when you train in boxing, you just train boxing and do strength and conditioning. Whereas when you're MMA, you have to do wrestling classes, striking classes, and then you'll do jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing. And then you got to do strength and conditioning, and all the other disciplines as well, grappling, everything. And then so you're constantly because you're doing like double sessions every day, and you try training all these different like martial arts. You get a lot of injuries, and MMA fighters get no more injuries than UFC.
In a way, that could also mean that it's harder because you can't just be.
It's definitely harder. I think it's definitely harder to train for an MMA fight.
Especially now. I mean, like you say, like maybe not even like 10 years ago. So if you look at like who was champion, say 10 years ago in say the UFC, like okay, who was champ? So say Mighty Mouse. Okay, he's like an anomaly. 35. Say like Dominic Cruz, who's like arguably the greatest bantamweight ever. But would he have been the champion in this era where these guys can wrestle and they can strike and they can do this and they can do that? So it's like the sport is kind of still evolving. Whereas like if you watch boxing, say 30, 40 years ago, like if you watch say Marvin Hagler or Tommy Hearns or whoever or any of these guys, they can still do the same thing that these guys can do.
I agree with that. I do agree. Boxing's hundreds of years old. The UFC are making this big thing now at the minute. Oh yeah, we're 30 years old. 30 years old is nothing. Boxing's probably 3 years old. You know what I mean? So no, of course the sport's evolving every day, and the MMA fight is now like people talk about like BJ Penn and that, and you think BJ Penn one of the best of all time, but he would that's probably a bad example because maybe he would be one of the only ones now. But like someone like Matt Hughes. Matt Hughes won world title. I think he lost it, won it a couple of times. He would get destroyed by anybody now.
I kind of agree, but then at the same time, if he fought in today's time where he had more resources and knew more information, maybe he would.
That's true. No, that's true.
I think maybe it's just those people in that era, but it's kind of like if they were in this era, they probably would. Like there are some guys who are obviously anomalies, like say GSP or Jones or whoever. But you are right. Like the champions now are just getting so much better. Like I think that guy Arman Sarukian, I think he's so good. Like, no doubt in my mind. I think he's the only guy in the division that could beat Islam. He fought him in his debut and it was close.
Yeah, and he lost. It was close, wasn't it?
Close. So,
I feel like the gold standard now for not even world title fights, just not even world champions, like no, just for like look at Shavkat Ramanov now and like Hamzat Chimaev. You know, these are people who are not even in world. They might. Well, I mean, maybe Hamzat will next time, but they're not exactly fighting for world title next. And look at the level these are setting. I just feel, and one thing about the UFC as well, maybe a bit more now. They used to dine out on this that there's no easy fights in the UFC. They definitely do build prospects a bit more now. Look at like the way they did with Sean O'Malley and stuff like that. They definitely build even you can say with Shavkat and Hamzat, like they are giving them like Stephen Wonderboy is not an easy touch. Obviously, he's a good fighter, but he's definitely done it. Back in the day, it used to be killer first killer, and then people would just like suffocate on the fact that they couldn't just keep fighting these. But they definitely build people more often now.
I think maybe that's kind of down to they've got a bigger roster because I think when you had like so even like McGregor came up. If you look at like the guys he fought, it wasn't like can after can. He actually fought some good guys, kind of thing.
Even he got a few. Look at Brando in Finger, Dennis Seaver, but then obviously people like
Poirier aged quite well. The Poirier fight, and then obviously he fought
aged well. The Holloway fight aged well.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Like to be honest, like I guess the UFC probably had no idea Max Holloway was going to turn out to be.
It was like what was he like when he fought McGregor? Like 21 or something. Second fight.
Yeah, he was young. Yeah, like he fought Dustin. He actually fought Dustin Poirier when he was 19. Max Holloway. And he's 30 now.
I love him to bits, me, but you've got to think of some of the fights he's been in. He can't have long left.
You know what though? I think he does because obviously he still does spar a little bit, but he says for the most part he doesn't spar in camp. He doesn't need to because he knows how to box, kind of thing. Do you know what though?
I did see a thing with he was on Ariel's show actually in studio. It was an unreal interview, and I think he said on that. He had stopped sparring altogether for loads of camps, and after the second Volkanovski fight, the third Volkanovski fight, where he felt like we just got properly outdone. He said he felt like it was off timing wise, so now he started sparring a little bit again. So,
I heard that as well because Sean Strickland said that because Sean Strickland was on, he went on Joe Rogan's show this year, and he was saying how he bumped into Holloway. He said, he does spar a little bit more, not as much as he used to, but he does spar again. But you know what? It's funny you say that. You know,
Strickland interview's weird, isn't it?
Well, the one with Rogan.
I don't listen to any Joe Rogan. I promise you. Like, I've listened to Sugar O'Malley and what's his coach called? Tim. Well, them two on it. I've listened to the Strickland one, and that's it. I think this year. And
he's had some good people on. He's had Aljamain on. He had a lot of champions on. He had loads of.
I feel like sometimes I'm like, I like Aljo. I'm an Aljo fan, but I'm not going to listen to Aljo talk on Joe Rogan because I'm not like that interested.
I like Aljo, no. But you know what? He's had a lot of like Rogan this year's had some good MMA people on. He had on even like guys from back in the past. He had like Dan Henderson on a couple months back.
Well, these people like Dan Henderson, like as much as they're legends and that, they don't speak that well. It's not. They're not like a great. I feel like this with Mike Tyson. Like Mike Tyson's, my views on Mike Tyson are a bit probably controversial. And I think like a lot of people do love him. He's like universally loved. Everyone thinks he's like one of the maddest people ever. But even him, I struggle to listen to his podcasts and stuff because he is so like unlistenable because of like 40 years. And I feel like people like Dan Henderson. That's why I think Bisping's worked out well because of the wars and stuff. Bisping's in. You'd think he'd be in like worse nick, but he's in all right.
Bisping's good. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Oh, Bisping was on it.
Did you even finish the Bisping? When you asked me about Bisping podcast, did you even ever finish that story? Or
that's what I was going to say. Because I remember, I always Bisping thing with Anthony Smith, but they done a thing last year where they said, okay, let's predict who the champions will be this time next year, basically.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, I wonder who will be champion in each division. So they done it for every division, and they were like, who do you think will be champion?
What do you want us to do that?
We should start so we'll start with the women's divisions, and then
I'll do that. I can do that.
We start with.
I'll tell you what, they'll save that for the end because I've got an hour here. You probably don't watch the live. There's a built-in alarm that goes off on my phone every day at 8:30. So at 8:30, that alarm will go off, and it'll be in an hour. So we've got till 8:30, so then we have to wrap things up. So I say we go through the UFC card. Gives me a chance because obviously right on the spot now, I'm not sure I didn't know. But and then we'll as an ender. We'll come back to the
championship.
What we'll do is we'll have this year. You're aware though. You're at a Centre Parks.
Yeah, but I'm not. I've got like no time, so no rush.
Yeah, no. I'm saying no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you know. I always think I want to go to a Centre Parks. Something like that. Then Butlins do like rave weekends. I always think now.
I've only come here when I was a kid, but I'm just like with my mate's family. So
is it good?
Yeah, it's good. We got it today. It's only like an hour drive, to be fair, like outside of London. So it's actually not.
You were there with the boys?
No, so basically, it was meant to be like me, my friend, his younger brother, the younger sister, both the parents, and like my mate's girlfriend. But basically, now it's just me, the dad, and the daughter. But I lived with them like last year. Like I've known them for like time sort of thing. But yeah, so we're just here for a few days.
You ever drinking that? Were you there?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. I mean, I'm not driving, so it's all good.
What, are you coming home tonight? You're not coming home tonight, are you?
No, I'm coming back on like Saturday morning.
All right, sick. Why would that be asked why would that matter if you're driving then?
No, I'm not gonna like. What I'm saying is like I'm not driving like on the way back either, so it's all good.
I mean, you could go wild for the next 3 nights and not have to worry about driving. 2 nights.
Definitely, yeah. So I'm all good. But I'm going out Saturday anyway. So me and my mates, we're gonna watch like the football and the boxing and that and darts. So our favourite thing.
Into darts, you know.
Yeah,
let me Google this card and we'll start at the top because then if we run out of room, we don't have to like cut short Colby and Leon because I've not let you speak for 20 minutes talking about fucking eyebrows. Right, you're getting a comfy position change. I used to sit when I was in the other house before we moved, and I had like the little upstairs bit with the fucking dressing with the wardrobes and the downstairs with the mirror. That was nice, but that little fucking white wall in the kitchen that I have to do videos on, it's like a fucking insane asylum. I can't deal with it.
My leg is actually a bit, Jesus.
Well, we'll do this, yeah, and then what should we do? Maybe we should just do one of these before and after every numbered event, or if it's a special fight card, we'll do a fight card.
Yeah, so say like if it's a big fight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't want to commit to it. I remember I started doing them fucking UFC and boxing weekly, like me just talking about them, and I just can't be asked committing to like talking about boxing and MMA every week because sometimes there's like a decent sized boxing fight on and a fight night card, and you think I'll watch them, like I'm interested in them, but I'm not interested enough to do a fucking 20-minute video talking about them. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So we'll do the numbered events, and then if there's an English fight card, we can do that.
Yeah, or if there's like a big one, so like when they done UFC Paris in the summer.
Yeah, exactly. Paris, Saudi Arabian card, that's going to be big. We know that's going to be big. The first Saudi Arabian.
That's essentially though. That card's essentially a
fight night card.
Yeah,
but it'll be a pay. Have you seen what they're paying? All the things have been leaked, haven't they? So Abu Dhabi pay 20 million site fee for the Abu Dhabi cards.
Yeah, that's nothing.
20 million up front. Don't matter about ticket sales or nothing. The UFC get 20 million just for being there, just for showing up.
Yeah, I know. They're gonna have. I think Islam's fighting on there. Islam's gonna be fighting there.
On the Saudi one?
Yeah, I think he will because obviously
it's a fight night, but they're getting paid like 16 million for that.
So yeah, so they've got the money, so it won't really matter if because I think that's another one. DC was on Rogan the other day, and he sort of let it slip. Oh, Islam will probably be on there, and he obviously Islam said he wants to fight 3 times next year, and also he's not going to fight. He wants to ideally fight before Ramadan. Sorry,
when is Ramadan?
I think it's like April, so it's like that card's in like March, end of March.
That's perfect.
A lot of the Muslim fighters don't want to obviously fight when they're fasting or whatever, so it makes perfect sense.
And then you want to get so if he wants 3 times next year, you definitely need to get in early, and then you need to do Ramadan, and then probably get in like August, September, then December. I think 3 is unrealistic. I think 2, you'll get 2.
I think 2 because he fought twice this year. He fought Volkanovski twice, and I think if I was a fighter anyway, I wouldn't really want to do 3. What do you gain from fighting 3 times? I know if you're a champion, you're making money.
You got to think of the money. Yeah, the money. Like when they're a champion, especially that's what Volkanovski always says. Like as soon as you lose that belt, you lose your pay-per-view points. So you're back down to $500,000 a fight if you're in a world title fight. But when you got the belt, the way they structure it, the way the UFC structure the pay, which is the best way to do it if you run a business. Like they make it so like being a world title challenger is really good, can change your life, is obtainable, but it's not like the best amazing thing in the world. But having that belt, they get paid like. Yeah, Volkanovski probably gets like $4 million a fight while he's fighting for the belt. So if you defend 3 times, that's $12 million a year. You can do a lot of things with $12 million. Do you know what I mean? But
do you not think as well when you get to a certain level? So like, let's say these guys like Poirier or say Gaethje, Oliver. These guys that aren't champion, and I don't think they have the same kind of contract where it's like, you can get. They're probably making at least $1 million when they're not champion because they're such big names.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's why Colby sells the fight so well. I think he's agreed. I think there's a deal there where he agrees. I think he knows his worth. Like he's like, listen, I'm a good B-side. You're going to pay some of these people $500,000 and they're not going to do anything. They're not going to speak. Like Bilal Muhammad's going to get $500,000 to fight Leon Edwards. Yeah, he's not going to sell the fight. No one's interested in whatsoever. You pay Colby double that. He's not getting pay-per-view points, and he sells a fight massively. That's why the UFC go to these sort of.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Being a very good B-side.
Yeah, Colby definitely made bank. I think these last say 4 years since the Usman fight. I think he's definitely made. I reckon he's probably made like in $10 million. Max
10
around. Yeah, you got to think. Okay,
he's never even made $5 million for
yeah, but hold on. So when he fought Usman the first time, I reckon he made.
That's just $500,000.
Okay, fine. Maybe not. Maybe 5 or 6.
I think $500,000 for the first Usman fight. I think he might have liked somewhat pay-per-view points, but I don't think he would have because earlier on he said, if you listen to it, this on Monday's show, the one after the finger, he says, I know he's not getting paid. He's never had pay-per-view points.
No, but I think he got the points against Masvidal because
that's one word we know he never, because he even said himself, Masvidal's getting pay-per-view points, and I was that desperate to get the fight against Masvidal. He definitely.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought Masvidal wasn't getting any, and then
Masvidal got on Masvidal's contract.
Oh yeah, of course,
when Masvidal had signed that new contract just before the Diaz fight, because they were desperate to keep hold of him because he only had 2 fights left and the whole boxing thing and whatever, and he was blowing up and they needed a little pay-per-view guy. He signed a deal where anytime he fights, if it's a 5-rounder, he got pay-per-view points. That's why his last fight against Gilbert Burns was only 3 rounds, because then they didn't have to pay him pay-per-view points.
Yeah.
Before the Diaz fight, definitely Masvidal signed a contract where anything
I reckon he would have got a nice sort of pay cut, like not the regular $500,000.
I think he's smart enough, right? So a lot of MMA fighters are not that smart. If you go to the UFC and say, listen, I know for a fact, I don't expect pay-per-view points, but I will headline an event. So the Masvidal event, I think it sold 400,000. That's what I heard, and then it sold out the T-Mobile Arena. So if Colby says, "Listen, I'm not like all these other idiots who are just made up to be getting $500,000. I want $1 million for the Masvidal fight. I don't want pay-per-view points. If he was getting pay-per-view points at 400 grand, he should get like 2.8 million something. Yeah, 2.8, 3.2, whatever. On that pay structure that got leaked when Eddie Alvarez took Bellator to court. From that pay structure, he should have got like 2.8 or 3.2 million. But if he just says, "Listen, I don't expect that. I'm not stupid. I want $1 million up front," the UFC are not going to go. Now, I'll tell you what, we'll give the Masvidal fight to Gilbert Burns, who will be on 500 grand. The pay-per-view will tank. Nobody's interested in a headline event between Masvidal and Gilbert Burns. So I think he's smart where he definitely negotiates more than just standard MMA challenger, which is 500 grand in it. Like, so Royval, but that's the whole point. They want people like Royval to sit on lower contracts, thinking, if I can just get a title fight, I'm getting £500,000. No matter what the pay-per-view does, I'm getting £500,000. So like, it's definitely a.
But also, if you're Royval or say guys that have challenged for the belt in his position, I'd be more than happy to say that.
That's changed his life. You're buying out. You've got no leverage. Buy 3 houses, cash, live it cash like that guy, live in one of them, and then have 2 houses rented out. Change your life, mate. And he would never have earned. Royval would have. Well, I'm just seeing the team now. Royval would have never earned anything like 500 grand. So that's the whole reason why the UFC works, and that's why they can tie these fighters down to like such like quite restricted contracts.
I know we're getting off tangent, but you know, it's funny. Eric, do you know Eric? Obviously, Eric Anders, the middleweight, and he's like light heavyweight as well.
Yeah.
So he was on Joe Rogan maybe like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and obviously he's not a big star. Like, he doesn't earn any of that money, like the $500,000. He was saying, I don't understand these fighters that say, "Oh, we don't get paid enough." Obviously, everyone wants more money, but he's like, "I'm not like a big star. I've made enough money, and I've bought like loads of houses, and I've done this and that, and I'm not even like an Ngannou or McGregor or whoever."
But what you're saying is correct. With the UFC, they've got it where all the people who are right. If you was an Eric Anders fighting on a boxing card, you would probably be three down the list, four down the card, earning $8 grand. But because you're in the UFC, you fight 8 from the top on an Apex card, you can be on 80 grand. You can You can be paid 80 grand a fight for being like a nobody, realistically, because that's how well the UFC's structure is. So I would say someone like Darren Till. Darren Till got paid $500,000 to fight Woodley. I would say, well, maybe not that, because that's a title fight. So Darren Till fights Stephen Thompson. He gets paid 110 to show, 110 to win. He gets paid 220 grand. 220 grand for the Darren Till versus Stephen Thompson fight. That headline, the Echo Arena, they made, I think, like 4 million just on the gate alone. On the gate alone, and then they have a deal with the ESPN where ESPN pay them $800 million a year to put on 40 something shows, and it works out that the ESPN paid them a further 2 million or 1 whatever million it is per show. So they're getting, so for that, let's just say for that, for the sake of this argument, for that Echo card, I'm not one of them. I am one of the people who think UFC fighters should be paid more, but I'm not like anti-company. They've got a business, they run it, they're better than everyone else. They're getting people, they've made more millionaires than any other sporting thing. But they're making probably 5 million from that Liverpool card. And the highest paid person, Darren Till's getting 220 grand. But for how much of a star Darren Till is, he should be getting 220 grand's good money for him. So it's hard. So John Jones is probably one of the most underpaid sporting athletes of all time. He was getting paid like 1 to 2 million for them early pay-per-views when he was doing 700,000 pay-per-views. Do you know how much Deontay Wilder would get paid for 700,000 pay-per-view? That's
$10 million at least, sort of thing.
Look at the so here's tell you what, perfect example from this year. Crawford versus Spence did 600,000 pay-per-view buys. I only know these numbers. I'm not pretending I know these. Luke Thomas spoke about them in his live chat a few weeks ago. So it did £25 million live gate in Vegas, and it did $50 million worth of pay-per-view buys, 600,000 pay-per-view buys, 75 million. Them two both got 25 million guarantees each. That was it. That was her thing. And then the broadcast, Al Heyman, the promoter, everyone split the other 25 million. That did 600,000 pay-per-view buys. And then John Jones versus Gain this year did 780,000 pay-per-view buys. John Jones got like 9-point-something million, and Gain got 500 grand. So they paid them two for more pay-per-view buys, 10 million between them, and the other two are getting 50 million between them for less pay-per-view buys. So the fighters are massively underpaid. It's not, and if you look at the court case that's going on at the moment, that Kung Lee,
that thing's still ongoing. That's still ongoing.
It's 20% in it. The UFC have got a thing in the sort of like, I don't know, a shareholder thing where it says we will only ever pay the fighters 20% of the revenue. like we said, like you said, Eric Anders would never have earned that money boxing or wrestling or doing anything. So they are well paid, and they're paid enough. I just think
it depends on your situation as well.
It could be paid more. I'm not really against anything. The UFC have got like a massive model where they make people rich, but I think that to get back onto UFC 96, I think we could end it with they're all underpaid, but they're also you do get some people like the person who opens a card who's on 10 and 10. If you open a boxing card, sometimes you'll only be on a ticket deal. Like you have to sell tickets to make money. So there are a lot of people who have been made rich from the UFC, but they definitely could be paid more.
To be honest, I think but I also think what would be good is if they had like a thing where if you fought a certain amount of times, you get like maybe a bonus or like I don't know, life insurance, health, something like that. Because say if you're a guy like Cowboy, obviously he's made loads of money, but say for example he was never champion.
Cowboy doesn't blow for his money, by the way.
He what?
I feel like boxing, and in boxing we're all used to it because it's been going for years. But because MMA is only 30 years old, and there's not like that many people who made loads of money. Like someone like Cowboy is 100% going to be skint in 5 years, 5-6 years. Like there'll be so many cautionary tales of MMA fighters who have just blown all their money because just on stupid. Like boxers have been doing it.
Do you not think he must have? I'm not saying he's a multi-billionaire, or whatever, but like, he must have. He was fighting forever, and he's made so many bonuses, and he's had decent checks as well.
There's no way he's worth more than 5 million.
But still, I get what you're saying. But I know he should probably have more, but that's still a lot of money.
No, it's crazy money. I'm not saying he's not earned good money, but I just think from being like if you're a boxing fan for as long as I've been, you've watched boxers throughout the years, and there's stories of boxers throughout the years. Like spend a lot of money. These boxers and MMA fighters are not like by default are not like the smartest people in the world. They're definitely never that money savvy. You get a few like who. The ones who end up like you're talking about Eric Anders, who like they stand out as being good financially because it's like they're in a cloud of they're just like in a sea of people who are just not good with the money.
Right.
Cowboy, mate, you know the money he spends on just like having fun and stuff. I just can't imagine him being thingy for long. Right, we need to go on the card because we're 32 minutes in, and this is titled the UFC 296 review. We're 32 minutes in and we haven't spoken about I think a single fight.
Okay, Leon against Colby.
I say we just flick. Hang on, to do this, I think we can flick through Andre Fili, Garbrandt, and I missed the Aldana fight.
Oh, that was the best fight of the whole night. That was so good. Oh, that was so good. That was the best fight.
Did I see Gar? Yeah, I missed Garbrandt because I watched the highlights in bed, and then as I did wake up and I was downstairs while the Aldana fight, but I was like making a brew in that, and then I came in as the Manifield fight, and they were all just talking about how sick the Aldana fight had been.
Oh, it was so good. That was the best fight of the night. Yeah, and then it was Alonzo Manifield. Yeah, that was the best. Yeah, and I rewatched it the next day. It was so good.
Typical me fashion. Yeah, JJ's obviously upstairs crying. Meg's at work. Right, give me but I can edit things now. So what I did with the last video with that Joe when we talked about his life in Thailand, I fucking ended it stupidly. But wait a sec, I'll come down and we can cut it out.
No,
Oh. Right, we've boxed it. He's I can edit that bit. I might even just leave it in. Who knows? Right, so let's just go in straight in. Right, so we'll start at the top. Colby versus Leon Edwards versus Covington. What we're saying. So I'll throw it to you. What's your take on the fight? What was your good and bad of the fight is?
I like obviously Leon's one of my favorite fighters. He's a UK guy and stuff. Obviously wanted to win, but I like Colby. Obviously, I think he took it too far with the comment and stuff. But when he came out, I just feel like he didn't, because obviously everything that he said, he was fighting like he didn't want to get like knocked out. He didn't want to risk. Yeah. It wasn't like when he fought Usman the first and second time. It was just a bit like I've never seen Colby like that before in my life. It was so.
I think Colby's looked at like the sort of like. I think definitely not fighting for 2 years will play a part as well. But I think Colby's looked at the landscape of how the world is now. If you get sparked, that's viral everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think he wanted that. I think he thought, but did you not think do you not think if he just said I was injured, we'd have all been like, yeah, I could see that. I think he probably was injured. Like, why did he come out of all the like I never got?
I don't think it would have washed either way. It's like when it's the other way around. So like Shavkat won and he was injured, but it's like, oh wow, you're so great and whatever. But then when you say you're injured and you lose, even if you're telling the truth, people are like, so what? You didn't have to.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I think a lot of he seems to have like what I'll say about Colby. Like it's weird that I've never liked Colby. If you look at my tweets from years gone by, I've always been like he's a grass. I hate him. And then for some reason I warmed to him, but I think I just dislike Leon Edwards that much that I want
Someone like Leon.
Can't stand him, mate. I think he's so boring. I just can't. Yeah, as a person, as a champion, I just think, and because he's always on Ariel's show and Ariel's obsessed with him, I just always think like, I like a champion who's a laugh, and he's just the least thing of a laugh.
Yeah,
like
me
he's
too.
smashing right, don't get me wrong, he's smashing it, and he's a good champion, and he's got he beat Edwards. Like obviously, it was not luck the first fight, but he was up against it, and in the second fight, mate, he just dominated Colby. Good champion, and I'm not sad that he's the champion, and I probably deep down wanted him to beat Colby because Colby is a character though. Like I feel like none had. We know, yeah, because I remember what he was like when he was. I remember him about the time when he was on. Probably it's the famous card where he got told he might be getting cut to Dan Lambert, the Brazil card.
Daniel Maia one, yeah.
And Dan Lambert, the famous story goes for obviously a lot of casuals who probably won't know what it is. Dan Lambert got told he's got one fight left in his contract. He's going to fight out his contract, and we're probably not looking to offer him another deal because he was just nothing. He was just somebody who like somebody knows on the Contender Series. Like he was just a filler of the card. He never spoke. He was a nice guy. When did you remember? He used to be always
mild-mannered sort of thing.
Yeah, he was a mild-mannered American wrestler. Do you know what I mean? They have this when you're a wrestler and that you're always usually disciplined. They have a lot of respect. He had a respect for his opponent. Dan Lambert wrote him a character, and Colby just in the end, Dan Lambert had to kick him out of the gym because Colby wouldn't let go of the character. He wouldn't stop playing the character, and he took it too far. But Colby Covington would have never made 2-3 million from fighting if he hadn't made this character up.
Yeah, so in a way, it kind of paid off, but then at the same time,
it paid off massively. It paid off massively. Yeah, he's a massive wrestling fan. He was always talking to people like Ariel who are massive wrestling fans. Dan Lambert has literally got his Dan Lambert's the biggest wrestling fan of all time. He gets his fighters into AEW. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it worked, and it's worked perfectly. Look at the star Colby Covington is compared to what he wasn't before he started this character. So at the end of the day, he's a character. At first, when it was just like Trump and all this, and I used to think it was boring. Now I kind of think I like the way he commits to nicknames and stuff. I find it funny. I just find. Mike Newsman.
Yeah, the best one was about Joanna and JJ. He calls her Joanna No Paycheck. I thought that was great.
Yeah. There's a few. I love that he no matter what how angry he gets or how like no matter what the situation is, he will never sway from him. So if he's in the biggest angry rant where you normally just slip things out of action, he will call Usman Mighty Fake Newsman. Yeah. And ask him. These are bad nicknames, but they're funny. Tyrone, what is it? NyQuil.
Yeah, he calls him. He called him Soy Jones Jr.
Yeah. Like these just like I find him quite funny, and especially because I kind of like don't like Leon, but I'm not sad that like he will never get a world title fight again now.
No, 0-3 in title fight. He's 35.
Yeah, exactly. Unless there's like one of them where he wins a couple and then it's like like a business sort of thing where it's 3 days notice and then they're desperate and he just says to the UFC, I will turn up.
But I think it's also another one where as well, like where he, like you said, these new guys, it's kind of passed him by the way because if he say for example he had to fight Shavkat next, and he had to finish short notice, you'd be like, I don't give him a chance, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Oh no, no chance. Yeah, exactly. Who I think he's 30. What is he? 36? No, 30. We're 36 the next time. Old division, and he took a lot of time out. I think the 2 years didn't help. Someone like him needs to be active, but he's never been active. You think he fought Usman, then he fought what's he called? Robbie Lawler.
No, he fought Robbie Lawler, Usman, then Woodley in lockdown, and then
that was it. So you think even then, that's probably that's 4 fights in what? How many years?
No, like 4. It's about 4 fights in about 4 years.
I think he's probably fought. If we go and look, if I go and look at his thing, I bet he's fought 5 times in 5 years.
Yeah, because he fought Dos Anjos in 2018, Lawler in 2019.
It is. It's 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 6 fights in 5 years, to be fair.
Which is not a lot.
When you can fight twice a year, that should be 12 minimum.
Yeah, that should be like between 8 and 12.
He's not a world title. He's not a world title fighter either. So if you're just a contender, surely you're wanting 2 a year minimum.
Yeah, like say like Gilbert Burns has been doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he's just been inactive. And then Edwards, I think with Edwards,
he's been unlucky.
You had the chance to make him pay for what he said, but it's a sport, mate. Like at the end of the day, like you're not going to go. That was what Colby wanted for him to leave his game plan to try and hurt him. Do you know what I mean? Edwards, his best thing is you're yesterday's news if he tries something and Colby catches him. So you win this fight, you go down in history of winning Colby. You beat Covington, you keep your title, and then on to the next one. Do you know? No one seems to have one thing I'll say for Leon Edwards. He's a bit like how I would be, I imagine. He is enjoying being the champion. He enjoys going partying as a champion. He enjoys the fact that people like Rio Ferdinand take interest in him now. He enjoys the fact that he's famous. He enjoys the money. He loves being a champion. So if you can just eke out a nice, easy result, not eke out, but like win a nice, safe result like that, Colby Covington, he's now got Christmas as a champion. This whole break when TVs are on watching TV and he's on every show and talk show as a world champion. Why would he not? Why would he risk it? It's not. He's the champion. It's not for him to try and savagely beat down.
If anything, it's for the challenger to come and get you. It's like when Cannonier fought Adesanya. Everyone was like, "Oh, it was a boring fight," but why Izzy doesn't need to chase him to make him take the fight?
Especially Izzy's definitely a lot smarter as well because Izzy's like really intelligent. He always speaks about seeing how certain people who've been in wars throughout their career are later on in their life, and he's like, I don't ever want to be that. If my opponent's not giving me something to work with, I'm not going to work with nothing. Because I'd rather just get out of the 5 rounds to nothing safe, and there's one in the bank.
Who would you want to fight next?
Leon next. So I would go with Bilal. If you think about the first Bilal fight in lockdown, I remember watching that. I had a few lads, like a few mates around mine, and I remember it. He was dominating that first round.
Oh, he was going to knock him out. He was going to knock him out.
Bilal's a kickboxer as well, so like at heart. So I think and Edwards is as well. I think that's a nice, easy fight, and if you can get that in the UK, we'll talk about this. If they just put Bilal, because Bilal versus Edwards, you'll struggle to sell out like a Vegas thing for that. So it needs to be in the UK, or it needs to be like a co-main event. So if you want a headline with that, you go to the UK. Sorry, Liverpool, I'm just about to score. You go to the UK, you're not even watching the game, are you?
No, because I'm going to watch it on my laptop when we're done.
Yeah, so you do Bilal versus Leon, and you do Aspinall versus just anyone.
I don't know if I agree with it. If I'm Aspinall, this is why I'm not to go on a tangent, but Aspinall.
No, we can't go on.
All this stuff. Just wait. You are literally next. Like, what are you doing?
He's not next.
Sorry.
Jones versus Stipe are not going to fight till July minimum. You're talking probably August, September. I think they're going to go again in New York next year. Jones and Stipe, right? No, that's November. Are you going to wait? Aspinall will get paid pay-per-view points for defending that. You're going to forego a £2 million, £3 million payday, easy payday against. Obviously, it's not going to be someone amazing. Dana White's already said you're not getting Stipe, you're not getting John Jones, so it's probably going to be Garn, someone who I think Aspinall would wipe the floor with. Would you not just want and Aspinall likes to fight? Would you not want a massive card in the UK?
31, he's young. And the thing is, if you fight, right, let's just say he fought, I don't know, Garn, Almeida, whoever, and even if he wins, you still got to think you're taking damage at heavyweight. And then you might not even be the champion. Henan Burrell done the same thing when he was the bantamweight champion. He defended the interim belt and then he lost it. It's just like, why would you do that?
But also, we've seen with the UFC. So this is a very real thing. You can't deny this. Jones versus Stipe could happen. Yeah, no. So let's say for the best case scenario for Tom Aspinall, they fight in July, which is not happening. But if they fight in August or September, best case scenario, they fight in September. They win, and then they want to book. Then they both retire, yeah? And then the UFC need a title fight for December. So they want to book Aspinall versus whoever for the full title, and Aspinall gets injured. They will strip him. They won't give a fuck. They will strip him of that interim title. They'll make a world title fight right above him between Gain and whoever the fuck is Almeida if he beats Blades or whatever, and it won't make a difference. And then I feel like the UFC is the only place where you can't really sit You need to just be taking fights because he's now going to get pay-per-view points for whatever fight he is, and there's a minimum because of the ESPN deal where ESPN pay him out for 400,000 pay-per-view points, regardless if it even does that. UFC fighters get paid that. So a world champion now in a UFC title fight is getting paid about 2 million minimum. So he's going to get 2 million for fighting in the UK against. If you think about the possible people he could fight, someone he should beat. I think he should beat Gain. I think he'd beat Gain.
He should be able, really. He should be able. But it's just
even if you get the Blades fight again, I don't know it wasn't a proper win, but get the rematch for the title, win that, get paid 2 million, and then you're still in the same position because Stipe and Jones are not fighting Aspinall.
I know, but then also as well, you got to think. Okay, look at say light heavyweight. Jamal Hill was the champion. He got injured, so they strip him. But then Yuri, who were basically out for a year, he walked straight into a title shot. So why not just wait? You're the same age. Just wait. I would rather fight John Stipe or at least fight for an actual belt when I come back. Because imagine you fight for the interim belt, you lose, and it's just like, what's the point?
And that's true. I'm not listening, and it is, but I think in the UFC you can lose, and I think the UFC would hold it more against you. If UFC some reason decide, right, we want to get this stadium fight, so we need Aspinall versus someone, Leon versus someone, throw Paddy on there and pretty much give Paddy versus what's he called, Finger Green, put Molly on there against anyone. Just all these Alan Allen versus someone as well. Put all these fighters on there and fill a stadium, and then Aspinall goes, you know what, I think I'm going to wait to see what happens with Jones Stipe. The UFC would hold that against him. I would go, and I am a person who sometimes thinks like Bilal Muhammad. If the UFC offered Bilal Muhammad any sort of fight in January, February, March, I'd be telling him, shut the fuck up, mate. I'm waiting for Leon. I get that. I would have waited I'd wait if I'm Bilal Muhammad, but I think Aspinall, because of like how long it could take Jones to fight Stipe, it's going to be a hard fight to make and everything again. I would just go. I would fight. I would just get a defense in. Why not? He beat them all.
In this situation, maybe you're right, but it's a lot of risk. I think it's a lot of risk.
It's a lot of risk, but I do think the rewards there to make it worth it.
Yeah, it could pay off. Because imagine if he wins, and let's just say the best case scenario would be, okay, let's just say Jones and Stipe fight in August, and let's just say the best case scenario would be Jones to win, and then it's like
I don't think Jones sticks around to fight Aspinall.
Sorry,
I don't think Jones sticks around to fight Aspinall.
You think he'll retire straight?
He retires if beats Stipe, but runs off into the sunshine.
If he loses, the thing is, actually, if Stipe was to win, Jones would definitely not retire. He'd be like, I need to get that one back.
Oh no, Jones would keep one if he lost, but I think he's going to run over Stipe and retire.
Yeah, that's
so, to wrap a bow on this one, because we've got a few fights to get through and not much time. Colby, what would you do? So Leon was saying next title defense in England, preferably as a headliner or co-main event. If it's a stadium fight, what are we saying for Colby? What would you do next for Colby?
If I'm Colby, I just want like fun fights that people want to watch.
Yes. So, I'd go for the I don't know why he shit on it. I would go for Shavkat. I would say, listen, young, untested prospect, fuck it. And even if he goes out, everyone has Shavkat as like the new Hamzat in that division where they think like he's a goer. And if them two have a war, Colby could get these fans back. You can lose in the UFC and it doesn't matter. So if you lose in a certain way where you're in a war, and Gilbert Burns against Hamzat, he was probably twice the star he was after that fight, after he lost.
Well, how about this then?
Colby's turned a lot of fans off this weekend.
Yeah.
Even the tired ones.
If he was to fight the winner of Ian Garry against Jeff Neal, that's perfect. Because people don't know.
Yeah, perfect.
If you win that and you beat one of the best prospects in the division, especially if Garry was.
Him and Ian Garry would have a good back and forth, which would be good.
Yeah.
But would Ian Garry take it? But then I think Ian Garry would take it because I think he sees weaknesses in Colby from that fight. And that is if Ian Garry wins that, he is guaranteed a title fight. The UFC will give it.
And it's good for Garry as well, because if Garry won, it's like, he'll get a lot more people on side.
Yeah.
That's what
do you know what? I haven't thought of that. And that's why you're in here, because that's perfect. Garry, if Colby versus Garry is perfect for all sides. Garry gets a massive rub if he beats Colby. Colby gets a massive run if he beats Garry. They both play off each other well in the press conferences and stuff. Perfect. I want that as well. I want that more than what I wanted. I want Colby versus Garry next.
Imagine if they did it in Ireland as well.
Exactly, and they said they are going back to Ireland. Right, we'll move to the next one. So, not really much to say about this. Pantoja versus Royval. I thought I haven't really got much to say. It was a good fight. I just feel like you're seeing levels. Pantoja was just far too good, but Royval was tough enough to stick into it, good enough not to get like subbed or KO'd, and flyweights, they don't carry the most power, they don't stop each other that much. I think just a typical flyweight fight. They're always very good, the skill's very good. They can hurt each other, and they can get about each other, but usually they will go the distance. Even Moreno or Royval, great fight, went the distance. I think that's just what you get from flyweight. Good fight, loved it, and didn't hate it as much as some people did, but not that great.
Yeah, I thought it was alright. I didn't expect it to be as one-sided. I actually thought Royval was going to win, but
no, I thought Pantoja was going to win.
I did not expect it to be so Pantoja to be so dominant. I thought it'd be like a back and forth. You know, like when Pantoja fought Moreno.
Yeah, that was back.
I thought it'd be like that, but no.
I'm not judging you for that because Royval is good. I just thought Pantoja is just a bit too polished at flyweight for someone like Royval, who I think you don't need to be that experienced to get a title shot at flyweight because the division is quite thin. So Royval probably got it a bit early, but he was the rightful challenger. But he got it a bit. I feel like he's more likely to go away for 3 fights, then come back and have a better go with it. And I think that's what happens at flyweight. You go away for a bit. Kai Kara-France had some bad losses, and then now he seems to pick up. Do you know what I mean? I think flyweight is just a division for the hardcores where people just all beat each other and they're all small and they're all sick. I don't think there's like that more to say about that.
But that fight was alright. What was the last one? So next one. Shavkat, Wonderboy and Shavkat.
Yeah, I'm going to pass this to you because, admittedly, I didn't realize until I was doing the watch along that someone said Charlie Edwards, Leon Edwards or Charlie Edwards, neither of the fucking two. Sonny Edwards' fight is on now, and I was questioning which fight. If I had to miss one of the main events or like Paddy, I wouldn't. But if I had to choose one from the main card, Shavkat Thompson probably would have been the one that wanted to miss for it. So I went and watched the boxing. So give me your take on how the fight. I've not even rewatched the fight. I'm not or anything.
I thought it was gonna. I thought Shavkat would win, and I thought he'd probably win a decision. I was surprised that he subbed Wonderboy. I don't think Wonderboy is as good as he sort of used to be. And to be honest, even that, if Wonderboy's going to still keep fighting, I just want to see him fight guys like when he fought Kevin Holland last year.
Yeah, just strikers, celebrity fights, fun fights. I don't need to see him against someone in the top 5 anymore. I don't. Wonderboy's not going to fight for a title. Like, I do get that sometimes it's nice to prospect build, like they've done with. You got to think with Shavkat now. That's a good prospect build. You beat Wonderboy, you get the rub. People are saying title fight, but I don't need to see Wonderboy in these fights. I want to see him against people like Kevin Holland, Jack Della Melena, even maybe a Colby if Colby was to lose another. I want to see him in celebrity fights.
Well, Colby actually called him out after the fight.
Yeah, he called him out, didn't he? I think that's a bit.
I don't really want to see that. Yeah, I just want to see
a soft landing in it.
Yeah, I just want to see Wonderboy fight guys like fun. Like if Masvidal was still around, I would have loved to have seen him fight Masvidal.
Did Stephen Thompson beat him once?
Yeah, he beat him like 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, years ago.
I would have liked to have seen. Yeah, so I wasn't surprised. Shavkat looked good. Wonderboy didn't look amazing, but that was it. It wasn't a very exciting fight at all, to be honest. That was it.
Right, we'll fight for the next one just because this is a big one. So Paddy Pimblett versus Tony Ferguson. Obviously, there's quite a few things to say about this. Paddy looked good in round 1. Looked okay round 2. 3 gassed. Fact, he gassed. But I thought he was very lucky to get put down on the floor when he did because I think he was gassing on the feet. Tony, people are saying like Tony looked a lot better now, but I can't get out of my head is think of the Tony that even came back and fought Pettis when he wasn't at his best to me on the McGregor undercard. He would have ran through Paddy in a round. Yeah. So this whole thing like, he looked better. Obviously, he looked better than he looked against the Bobby Green, but how could you look worse? Obviously, he looked better than he looked like Diaz, but how could you look worse? And that, like, I'm back on the Paddy train now because I think I liked Paddy. I always thought he was sound. I always thought he was like, he was a bit much sometimes, him and Molly together a bit much, but he was always sound enough. He was like trying his hardest. He wasn't like a knobhead or anything. But the aerial fight week with Jared Gordon, the way the Jared Gordon fight went, I don't like lick asses, and he was just like proved himself to be like a little lick ass. And then the way the Paddy fight, that Gordon fight, and he won. It was just like turned a lot of people off, especially me. But I'm back on him now, definitely. But this fight, I feel you've got to be stopping Tony Ferguson in this day and age.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. I mean, Tony is tough to finish. Like if you look at actually the guys that have finished him, Michael Chandler with that kick, Gaethje was just too much in the end, and then Bobby Green tapped him right at the end. He's actually he's quite a difficult person to finish.
He is.
I was talking about it the next day with my dad. He was like, I thought Paddy looked great. I was like, yeah, but he should beat Tony Ferguson.
It was a settle fight. If we're all honest about ourselves, we all didn't rate Paddy's skills so much that we stopped thinking it was a settled fight. Because realistically, Paddy versus Tony Ferguson in this day and age is a settled fight. You're setting up the prospect to look good against the old legend. But because we all think Paddy's not that great, which I don't think he's ever going to be he's never going to win a world title or anything. You could put him in some. Bear in mind, he's still young, 28. Is he 28? Or 29. That's not old. So he's still got. If he has a lot of learning fights and you're building right, I do think he can be in big fights, and fun fights, not like world title fights, but we definitely didn't rate his skills so much that we started to not think it was a walkover job as much as it.
And the thing is, lightweight is such a shark tank. It's just like
when he said in the press conference, I want to fight someone between 15 and 11, and I'm thinking 50, and then he said the guy goes, and then Paddy's like, who, and he's going, I don't know, and then the guy goes, I think he beat Bobby Green because I think Bobby Green's wins have sort of definitely made him look better than he is. I think he is very washed up. I think he'd beat Bobby. Or it'd be a good fight with Bobby Green. He could possibly lose, but maybe win. But then you look at Moicano would definitely beat him. RDA would definitely beat him. These are the people that are 11. Drew Dobb, probably.
I think Drew Dobb is the one I'm most confident about.
Do you know what I'd like him to fight? I would love the McKinney fight, Terence McKinney fight.
Oh, that would be good.
Fight. I know they're unranked, but McKinney's vulnerable. Lost a couple.
But McKinney can lose. He's like, you don't know. Yeah,
I'd love that fight. And then Tony, this is the one. So the sad one. Is that the last fight you want to see from him? I wouldn't mind.
No,
he's only spent a lot of money, and Luke Thomas regularly says he's never done the best financially. So, and he gets paid well from the UFC. So Tony is one of them people. You look at him, even when he's not fighting, that how much he self-destructs. His head's gonna be fucked when he stops fighting, because when he's not got that thing to, oh, what a goal, Liverpool. Slobazai.
Oh yeah, he has been very good.
He's cupping his ears to all these fucking muppets who are starting to question if he's a good signing now. He's a fucking unbelievable signing.
What Liverpool fan?
Oh, Twitter's going. I seen a thing today
saying on Twitter he gets crucified. Yeah.
How yeah.
I think he's quality though. But that United game pissed me off so much. I was just, oh man.
Anyway, back on. Sorry.
Yeah. No, Tony, I don't want to see him fight ever again. It's sad. It's like BJ Penn kind of thing. It's sad.
But I just think if the UFC released him, he'd go and get fights elsewhere. And Russia or PFL would give him a couple of fights where he gets run over by some Garry never. And I would just think, can they not just put him on? So you have a fight night card in Austin or somewhere like that, or you have a fight night card in wherever, Poland, anywhere. You put Tony Ferguson free from the top against someone not making the debut, but someone off the Contender Series, and just people who Tony Ferguson can have little wars with. Did he not pay his value there?
Yeah, but then what if he does again? It's just like,
it's unsaid. Him and BJ Penn are the record holders for 7 fights.
7 in a row. It's so bad, and I love Tony. I always want him to win. It's just, and it was sad because I remember earlier this year, I was watching him against Pettis. And I was
yeah. And even then, that's not his best, but he looked good.
Yeah, and I was thinking, oh man, he really did deserve a McGregor or Habib fight. It was so sad.
He deserved a big pay-per-view fight, and he never got it. He got shafted realistically because he never even got to get the pay-per-view points from defending his interim because he fell over a UFC cable, by the way, and snapped his knee.
Oh yeah, and it nearly happened again when he fought. I think it was Nate. Yeah.
World famous alarm, mate.
Oh shit.
So we've got probably about 5 minutes.
Okay, fine. So the last fight, Bryce Mitchell against Josh Emmett. I genuinely thought Bryce Mitchell was dead when he knocked him out.
Did you watch? You probably didn't. I did one of these with my mate Joe, and it came out just before it. And I couldn't believe, and even my mate, 2 people text me laughing at how stupid this Joe was because I got him to bet a tenner straight bet that I said Bryce Mitchell, he said Josh Emmett. And we bet a straight. John messaged me mate, you would have got worse odds at the bookies. And then the other mate messaged me. Luke was like, mate, why is he taking that bet? Bryce Mitchell's going to kill him. I couldn't believe. And then Joe even replied back saying, oh my god, I thought Emmett was Jared Gordon. To which was I was a bit amazed by that because I thought Jared Gordon's even worse than Emmett. But even then, neither Emmett or Jared Gordon I thought Bryce Mitchell was just going to do what he does most of the time. Just drag him to the floor. And just have him on the 3 round.
He's the hardest hitter in featherweight. It was scary.
He gets hard. Not the best fighter, but the hardest hitter. Mate, when they showed the replay and he hits him, and then he just stiffens up and falls back, and his eyes are like, you see that look, and then he starts convulsion.
Right. I was like, oh man, I was quite sad because I like Josh Emmett as well, but I love Bryce Mitchell, so I really wanted to.
The worst thing about that was I didn't watch it. So it was just before I jumped on. No, I had jumped on. What happened was Meg was on a night out with her mates for Christmas.
Yeah.
She's fucking come through. She woke me up because I slept through my alarm. Luckily, she come in at like 2:30, woke me up, or like 2:20, woke me up. She's fucking banging all around the house and that. Then she goes upstairs, crashes and falls asleep. Whilst that fight's on, I'm fucking I'm just watching it when they're doing all the checks before the fight. The door goes. I ain't got a fucking clue what's going on. My dog's an arsehole when the door goes. He starts barking all the time. She's ordered a takeaway and fell asleep, didn't wake up for it. So as the takeaway guy's there and my dog runs out, and Asian people are not that fucking receptive to dogs. So he drops the food when the fucking my little fluff. Have you seen my little gay fluffy dog, haven't you?
No. Oh no, I haven't.
Bobby. Right, he runs out. The guy jumps, drops the food, and as I'm trying to like, he's talking to me and he's like saying it's okay. I just hear like, "This is one of the more craziest knockouts you'll ever see." And Bryce Mitchell's, and I'm like, "Mate, go, leave, please. I need to see this." And when I come in, they didn't show another replay for about 5 minutes. It was that bad.
Yeah, you could tell they were sort of cutting because usually they show it straight away, and they didn't. It was just like, oh my god,
Could not believe how bad that was.
But yeah, I was a bit gutted about that, but I like Jacoby.
So to wrap it up then, so Menafield, Jacoby, decent. Both, but quick one on both. Throughout the fight, both of them looked like they could get finished multiple times.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised.
None of them two are stars, but you watch that fight and it's a good end to the prelims because it was 50-50. It's a 50-50 fight like UFC fights are.
It was good. Yeah, it was really good. And then Harold Rose. But I miss, obviously, because what I do is when I watch UFC, because it's on so late, say the main card started at 3. I always go to bed at like 10:30. Making alarm for 2. I would usually get up at 1:30. So I'll watch the last few but there were some prelims I really wanted to watch, but it was just too early. Like there was
Andre Feely, I would have loved it. I like Andre Feely. These are like the little tiny. These are the personalities with inside MMA where only like hardcore fans know them, but they're not massive stars, but the stars to us. I love watching Andre Feely when he fights. Feely usually fights like 4 fights on a fight night card from the top.
Yeah,
and I love him. But too early for me. I'm not waking up at that time. Same with
she lost as well. I was like, oh man.
I wanted to watch that. It's just too early. Casey. How many fucking bets did Casey O'Neill fuck for people?
I actually bet on Lipsky to win, but some of my other fights lost.
I put O'Neill, and then last one. I'm going to finish on this because I didn't see the Aldana fight, even though everyone's saying fight of the year. My guy, Cody Garbrandt. Are we back or what? Come on, he only needs 2 decent, okay wins, and he'll get the sugar fight because they'll talk each other into it. 2 decent. I'll tell you what. We'll have to jump on another time in the next week and do the what was you saying about the champions? We'll just do that as an extra video and just release it. Do a 20-minute video. But so this is how we're going to end it because it's passionate to me. If you're Hunter, what's he called? Hunter Campbell. I'm Sean Shelby. How are we maneuvering? What 2 fights are we doing to maneuver Cody Garbrandt into a world title fight with Shane O'Malley, knowing it will sell? They don't like it where they fall out. They'll have beef on Twitter and stuff. What 2 fights? How can we get Cody Garbrandt safely? Bear in mind his chin's suspect. How can we get him safely to a world title?
I would say either Davis and Figueiredo, or
I think Figueiredo beats him. I think he's just too. I think with Colby you can't be sturdy because if he can't get you out of there, you can get him out of there. I think stay away from like Merab and that. But I think because of the age and the time he's been off, a losing Cejudo to Merab could be a decent fight. And it's sellable American, but I think he could beat Cejudo, but then it's who do you beat after Cejudo? Or would you do maybe a cruise rematch?
Oh yeah, UFC 300. Oh, that'd be great.
Cruz versus Colby headlining the prelims of UFC 300. You beat Cruz easily. That's the win, and then you go. And then if you beat Cejudo, who's just lost to Merab, the UFC could wangle him in a title fight after that.
Or maybe like Pedro Munoz, or
but he lost him already.
Yeah, but you can fight him again. Because you think about it.
He beat him again. The thing is with Colby, I feel like you have to match him very carefully because he can lose.
No, true. But what about Adrian Yanez?
That's a good fight.
Adrian Yanez.
You got to think. Then you get him to beat that. Was it Dan Ige he fought and he just got his head jabbed off?
Yeah.
Dan Ige's not all that.
You got to think as well. Not Danny Ige. What's his name? Oh, who did I just say?
Munoz.
No, Yanez. Adrian Yanez.
Sorry.
So you got to think Yanez got knocked out by
Ige.
Sorry?
Was it Ige?
No. He fought the other day. He's Calvin Cater's teammate.
It was and he's
Puerto Rican. He's like Puerto Rican.
I know what you mean. He was on the Florida card. Hang on.
He fought. That's gonna drive me insane. He got like the best jab in.
Yeah, that's what they all said, don't they? It was he did fight Danny Ige and beat him.
Oh, that's gonna run.
Well, when I say this, you'll know it straight away.
He comes up to the thingy Marley summit all the time. Calvin Cater.
Calvin Cater. He's definitely fought him.
No, he's Calvin Cater's teammate. Rob Font. That's what I was gonna say.
Rob Font. That's it. Yeah, he got the best jab.
2 years ago, Rob Font like jabbed Cody's head off.
That was it. Not Ige who jabbed his head off. It was Rob Font who jabbed.
Yeah.
Who jabbed
thing. Font knocked out Yanez in Miami this year. That's a great fight.
Yeah. He's lost 2 in a row since then. I forgot he lost to Cody Sandhagen.
Yeah, he got on short notice, to be fair to him.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and he just lay on him, didn't he? Cody
about Umar. I didn't watch it though. I was watching Nate Diaz against Jake Paul. So
same. I missed it. Right, do you know what? An hour 5, we will have to cut this. So we managed to get through the card. We talked a lot of bullshit at the start, but it's fine. This is people just want conversations. They're good.
When's the next one?
So what we'll do is we'll fit in between sometime soon, before the end of the year, or before the end of the year. In the next week, we'll do a women's and men's division. Who we think will be we'll do a few. We'll do champions. We'll do who we think our breakout fighter will be. So that doesn't have to be a championship. They could just be going from no one to be brink of a title fight. Who we think will be. We'll do a few. We'll work out between us.
Categories. Yeah.
Pardon?
We'll do like a few different categories.
Yeah, we'll work out a few categories. So breakout fighter of the year. Who do you think is going to be the fighter of the year? Things like that. We'll talk about what's the one fight we want to that's not been made that we want to see the most in such a thing. We'll talk about all that, and we'll do that, and we'll be like 20 minutes, half an hour, and then for the next. So when's the next UFC card?
Like January 14th or something ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the. Is it the Apex?
I got it here. Hold on, UFC 290. The next one.
Scheduled events. Here we go. The next one is it's at the Apex Ankalaev versus. Well, I'll tell you what. So then for January 20th, we'll do another one of these, but we'll definitely make sure we jump on before. We'll do a pre-fight, pre-card UFC 297, Strickland v Duplessis, and then we'll do one of these after it as well. So one before and after that.
Yeah, all right, fine.
We'll definitely get on before the start of 2024. We'll jump on for a little half an hour and do the categories and the fighters and them all that shit. Because these are good.
Yeah, these are good. They go so quick as well.
What we're going to do, mate, how quick does that? Because even realistically, we're 7 minutes over now. We've massively run out of time. But I could have talked to you for another hour. We could talk about one thing I was thinking all day when I'm thinking I'm going to be talking to you, because obviously we've been like Twitter mates for years, and I feel like I've been eating a boozer before Crystal Palace away. That Weatherspoon.
What year was this? No. I remember it. You know that guy Jed, that old guy. He makes me laugh so much. I think you DM me like, where should I go? And where did you go in the end? Do you know?
We always used to go. Couldn't have been that. We used to always go. The Weatherspoons facing the tube station, whatever that Weatherspoons was, right facing the tube station. Summit Heath.
Oh, Fulton Heath. Yeah, that's not a tube station, but yeah,
Was it not?
No, Fulton Heath is like the worst part.
I didn't know it wasn't
the worst part of Croydon. It's the worst part of Croydon. But yeah,
that Weatherspoons facing it was sick.
I've actually never been. I might have been to that Spoons before, but yeah, you can. Yeah, because you can walk from Fulton Heath to Selhurst Park. I live by literally 10-minute walk from the stadium, but I live the other side.
That's where I must have found it. But then I've always known. I remember I was thinking we could bring. We'll just talk about the next one. But I always think, imagine it. So you was people will probably want to recognize you from the Vine.
Yeah, I still get people come up to me today. I don't know how they.
And I always think, imagine if you was known and that was a TikTok, you'd be massive. You'd be set for life. If that Vine was a viral TikTok, you'd be massive. You'd be set. You'd have 60,000 followers. You'd be set forever. Pardon?
Yeah, and I didn't think I only done it just for me and my mates to watch. And
it was hilarious at the time. It made me laugh. Yeah. Plus, at the time, there wasn't many, and this is another thing why I think we used to speak on that, because we're not never been like a fucking Twitter personality, but there was never that many black Liverpool Twitter fans, was there?
Not really, because that's the thing. Like, the reason I hate Arsenal more than any other club, obviously, I live.
Yeah, you grew up around Arsenal fans.
Yeah, literally, they're the biggest club in London, definitely. And
I always feel that like, were you like, so a lot of my Scouse mates hate Everton, can't understand why anyone wants to hit, like, doesn't want to win the derby all the time. Like, I obviously want to win the derby all the time, but I would rather beat United every day than ever beat Everton. I do not. I want to beat Everton, obviously, but I would rather beat United. Whereas Cockney Liverpool fans like you, obviously, I'm more like, I'm a greater Manchester Liverpool fan. We hate United. You all hate Arsenal because you watched them dominate when we were shit. I watched Liverpool, United dominate when we were shit.
I don't even know, but I don't hate Arsenal for when they were good. The worst thing is, like, when I was in secondary school, we were bad. So, but Arsenal didn't win anything, but they would be like, "Oh, well, we're getting the top 4. Oh, this and that."
We weren't getting top 4 for a long time. Well, then the years when, like the last few years under Wenger, when they were in the Emirates, they was one thing they would brag about is getting top 4, and we would be out the top 4 race by November, mate. They were bleak years.
And they are, yes. I can't stand them. But to be honest, most of my mates, they support, like, obviously I've got a lot of Arsenal mates, but like, most of them support like Palace, Millwall, Charlton, because they're like the local teams. But yeah,
Right, I think that's it. An hour and 10 minutes.
Sweet. I will do it soon.
So we'll do it. So what are we on with 20th? So we've got 10 days to make sure we do it before. What we could do is we could do it because it's good if you can release things on certain days. So we can do it before the first, and then the first, when everyone's off work and doing nothing, release it on the first.
Yeah, I'm not working at the moment, so I can do whenever.
Yeah, we'll get it in. Oh, you're not working? That's perfect for me because I finish work at 2 every day, and my best time to do videos is usually between like 2 and, well, after 7 when JJ goes to bed. But JJ will go nap for 2 hours between me finishing work at 2 and like 8-ish. They're my best times to do a video during the day.
I'm not working, so I can literally do it whenever.
Perfect. That's why it's good with me and that Joe, because he's in Thailand 7 hours ahead, so we can get him. He can get me early and stuff. Right, perfect. We'll get on one Wednesday. I don't work on Wednesday, so like Wednesday at like 12 o'clock's my best time.
Yeah, just message me.
Yeah, definitely. We'll sort it out.
The day before, and I can just that's fine. Yeah.
Perfect. Right, I'm gonna end this, but obviously we'll still be able to talk afterwards. But I'm gonna end it. Bye all. Anyone who's watching, probably not that many.